Hello, everybody. It is absolute chaos. That was totally me being late tonight. We have no water at home. The freeze killed my well. So it's been chaotic as all get out around here. Other than that, happy Tuesday. I'm Kat, the nurse flipper. If you don't know, I'm joined by my co-host, Sonny, Las Vegas. And below me, they have all been on before. It's been a while, though. We have Paul and Faith from my Reseller Genie, and we have Miss Ashley from Titchy Farm Treasures. So tonight, and I think I put it when I shared the post, Paul's going to give us a presentation on reseller deductions. We're going to do it at 9. So you guys don't want to miss that one. I'm going to make Paul and Faith big, let them introduce themselves, then Ashley, and then we will get to your questions. So here is Paul and Faith.
Hey guys, so great to be on here. Kat, thank you so much for having us on again. I'm Faith. My husband Paul, I'll let you introduce yourself in a second. I was a reseller for years. I still technically am, but very much so in the back seat since we started our other business, my Reseller Genie, which is accounting and bookkeeping for resellers.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess there's not much more for me to say.
Sorry,
I was the one with the background in accounting, and my wife was the one who told me all about how much resellers needed some help with accounting. So we put our brains together and came up with a product.
Perfect. Here's Ashley.
Hi guys, I'm Ashley with Titchy Farm Treasures. I'm excited to be here tonight. I'm a everything seller. I've been reselling for 2 to 3 years. I sell on eBay, Mercari, Facebook Marketplace, Poshmark, and I just started Depop and whatnot this past December. I'm dabbling in social media, so you can also see me on Instagram and YouTube here and there. But aside from that, I will pass it on.
Perfect. Yeah, so Paul and Faith, if you need to pass on, like, if you don't know the answer, that is fine, no big deal. And I know I saw Pat, I think it was Patty that put it in the chat. If you guys have the accounting or tax questions, definitely ask them. Marsha, I think I put the link where they can get the discount with my code for my Reseller Genie too in the chat or in the description. Patty says, even though shipping isn't really free, what are the merits? I offer it on Etsy because my listings are higher priced than on eBay. So has anybody noticed more sales by doing free shipping?
We're going to pass on that.
Yeah.
So I don't sell on Etsy. I do sell on eBay, and I have offered free shipping in the past, and I stopped doing so, and I've not noticed a difference one way or the other. I prefer to not offer free shipping personally, just with returns. It protects me a little more without having to pay for their return if something like that happens.
I did a little bit of free returns for a few months, and the bigger difference for me is when I switched back to having a shipping charge, just adding me paying for labels if somebody wanted a return an item. And the perks for me, the merits that I know off the top of the head, is that it entices people to choose you over others. But sometimes you do get what you pay for, and everybody feels like there's a catch nowadays. So I feel like that's always up in the air. I know that eBay loves for you to have these things like free shipping, free returns, everything that is a dreamy type of seller. And that doesn't always work, especially for low-end items. That always gives me the biggest headaches.
Yeah, I have only done it a couple of times ever out of like it's not on any of my listings now. We talked about it, I think it was 2 weeks ago, because I was thinking about doing it with my jewelry because I do so much jewelry and it's only 4 ounces. But a lot of people pointed out like my jewelry's higher end jewelry, and most of the people buying higher end items don't mind paying for shipping. So I haven't changed anything. You could do buyer pays returns for the free shipping or free returns. But if you do 30-day free returns like I do, we would get stuck having to pay shipping both ways. Whereas if it's their fault, like they change their mind or whatever, we can withhold that original shipping, but you cannot do that if you do free shipping. So that's what they're referring to. Let's see.
Made me think of something right there. I feel like it would maybe be worth it for me to consider again if it's a very valuable item rather than say a $20 or less, because that would be say $7 if it's a small item too, $7 back. Like that's already cutting into your profits. So I feel like it has to make sense with what you're doing for free shipping.
Yeah. And I was just thinking to kind of give the algorithm a boost, and I still might try it at some point with some of my jewelry just to see if it makes a difference. But yeah. All right. Kathy says, I bought a fake Louis Vuitton duffel bag at a resale store. I didn't know it was fake. I want to make my $75 back. What can I do? Can I sell it online as just a duffel, not stating Louis Vuitton?
So I will definitely point to you guys who are the pros, but my inclination, just after reading lots and lots of horror stories about selling fakes, is just to not do it and to donate it and write it off so that you don't have to pay on that. But would you add anything to that?
Yeah, no, I mean, you can deduct it. It stinks that that's all you can do, but that sounds like kind of the best route to go.
Yeah. But what do you guys think, Ashley?
I agree. I would take the $75 and count it as tuition and a lesson learned and move forward. I've even listed authentic bags on Facebook Marketplace that weren't selling on eBay through an authentication, even though I know it was authentic. I purchased it many years ago. And Facebook even kicked it off. I don't think it's worth your account. The $75 isn't worth it. I don't even know personally that I would donate it and let somebody else be in the same position as you.
Reseller Genie, Paul, and Faith would say use it in your tax filing. That's perfect answer for them. I would take it back. I would say, hey, I bought this from you. This is fake and it's counterfeit. You're not supposed to be selling counterfeit, especially with the huge names like Louis Vuitton. I know for a fact, I won't say what companies, but I'm very close to a lot of resellers here, vendors, and so on here in Vegas. And Louis Vuitton is going after some places for people selling fakes. And it's not just letters, is actually, or it is letters. It's official, like knock it off or we're coming after you. And they're learning the hard way because there's always that one or two person that wants to say they're not going to catch me. You know, they got bigger fish to fry. Sometimes they make a big example out of the small fish. So I would take it back to where you got it from, even if it's been some time. Tell them, look, this was fake. I got it from you. I'll at least want cash back or to be credited towards future purchases. If you're going to this place, more than likely, like me, I go to the same places all the time and just use that credit towards future purchases.
So it is illegal to sell that bag. Yep. And so if you don't want to go to jail, you're going to eat your $75. I agree with Sonny. You could try and take it back. I had the same thing. I bought some on an online auction that were not authenticated. I gave it to my daughter-in-law, but I told her it was fake. I didn't let her think it was a real bag. I gifted it to somebody. I would not redonate it either. I agree with Ashley. I wouldn't want to put somebody else in the same position. But it is illegal to sell fake bags. And like Sonny said, now with Louis Vuitton coming after some people, you've got that in play, but it is like, it's against the law to sell them. So yeah, that 75 is a loss and it's learning fee, but I get like, give it to somebody, but I would tell them it's fake. I couldn't like let her think that it was real. I was like, this is a fake. I can't sell it. Here you go. Like, you know. That's what I did. And I don't know how the online auctions get away with it because I guarantee you they know some of those are fake. Because some of them that I buy from, they will say, read. If it's fake, they will say read because it's not authenticated. And I'm like, yeah. So if I see they see read, I'm like, yep, that's fake. But if they're real, they put authentic. And I'm like, so, I mean, it's just as illegal for them to sell them too. So I don't, but I also see them selling ivory, which is also illegal to sell. So I'm not sure how like those companies get away with it. I don't know. All right. LJ says he is currently doing buy it now on eBay, knickknacks and whatnot, and wondering what other platforms would you suggest for an all-around reseller?
Those are good ones.
I've done very little reselling, but the only platform I actually resold on was Mercari. And personally, I liked the experience. I thought it was very easy to get on. If you're doing like cross posting, a lot of services do offer that. And if you want to do your accounting with Genie, we integrate with them, so you can save time on your bookkeeping too.
That's kind of what I was going to say. So on to you, Ashley.
I also sell on Facebook Marketplace. I will not ship on Facebook Marketplace, but I will sell local. And some months have done better or just as good as I have on eBay. I also sell on Depop, Mercari, Poshmark. I don't know that I could in good faith recommend somebody start selling on those platforms right now. I keep at it because I have listings up that the work's already done. Unless you have a cross listing service that will just do it for you and save you time, then it would be worth it. But that's my opinion.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well with Ashley. If you're cross listing, list them on all the platforms, especially if you're just starting a cross list and you haven't been on all the platforms. It's a good way to find out after several months which ones are the dominant platforms to focus on. I ended up doing this myself in the past where I was on every platform just about, and I found that Knickknacks was the best for me and a fast outcome with live selling. But when it came to buy it now, eBay was almost there. It was right under Knickknacks. And then I just started jumping into other platforms. But Mercari was great for very few items, but they were selling a lot more, like $100 value items and up. But it was like once or twice a month compared to how much more I was selling, even really good value items over on eBay. So I cut it all down from eBay, Knickknacks, and then that's when I started jumping on Whatnot. And as of right now, I'm just on Whatnot, but I'll be getting back on eBay very soon.
Yeah, so I do eBay, Poshmark, Mercari. I do Whatnot, static and live selling. And then if you do vintage, I would do Etsy. Etsy's been killing it lately. Posh, I'm going to agree with Ed. Posh is having issues. I don't know if I would recommend anybody to start on them. We do well on there, but it's a headache right now. So if you don't have your stuff in line, I think it'd be fine. I had to take about 40 hours last week and go through my closet and get it cleared out so I wouldn't have to cancel any orders. But just a bunch of the politics around it, like not being able to access your reports and stuff is just, it's frustrating. But yeah, so I tried Depop. I quit cross posting to Depop because I didn't have the sales. I tried Vinted and they logged me out every time I closed the tab, so it wouldn't sync with List Perfectly. So I quit listing on there too. And like I didn't see sales, like, you know, and I mean I didn't put a ton of time, but if it logs me out every time I close a tab, like and I had to go to my email and click a link and like every single time if you close the tab. So yeah, I would probably say Posh, Mercari, and Etsy. I would add if you have vintage, if you don't, but like Sonny said, and I guarantee like there's people in the chat, like eBay is my top. I know a lot of people that Whatnot's their top. I know people that Posh is their top. I know people Mercari's their top and Depop. It really depends on what you've got. And like what you're selling. So if it's a bunch of different stuff, I would say eBay is probably going to stay number one. That's how it is for us, but you never know until you try them. And if you have a cross posting service, you might as well do it anyways. Miss Linda says, how soon after you list an item on eBay do you start sending out offers to watchers?
Yeah. So speaking of like, top platforms, when I was reselling a lot more, I was primarily on Poshmark, and I really do think that this question is kind of platform dependent because based on what you're selling and what you have, it might be smart to hold it for a while or to just start sending out offers. So I don't have a lot to say on that, but I do think, it can be platform dependent and based on what you're selling. Ashley, what do you think?
I am the type of person that I will send out an offer as soon as I have the ability to, if I'm on the app, regardless of what it is. I think maybe subconsciously factor in a 5% increase on what I know I'm willing to take, just so that I can drop at 5% if someone sends me an offer, even an hour, if I'm able to send an offer, even an hour after I've listed it. I think it really drives sales for me.
Only when I start realizing I'm not making much sales, I'll focus on a time frame on eBay from say items that have been there for over 100 days or so. You could narrow down the days on eBay that you want to do. It doesn't have to be check everything and all of them send out offers. You could specify how much items you've had for a period of time. So I usually do that. And if it's like a big item and I know it's been there for say a week or so, that's when I start sending offers. But it's not for everything. I don't really have a means to my madness other than it happens to catch me at the moment where I'm sitting down looking at listings and doing that.
Yeah, so for me, I am like Ashley. I will send them out as soon as I list them. But the percent I send out differs on eBay. On eBay, for the first 3 months, I send out 10% off. And then from 3 months to a year, I send out 30% off. And after a year, I send out 60% off because I want the older stuff gone. Now, the only exception to that lately has been my sterling silver pieces because I'm not going to offer them less than melt value with the value of sterling having gone up so much. So I just watch that I'm not sending out offers on them. And on Poshmark, I send out 20% all the time, but I will accept the amounts I told you. So like if somebody sends me that 30% off offer or even 60%, if I've had it a year, I'll accept them on Posh, but there's no way without me sending offers individually on Posh to do that. So I just do a flat 20% across the board because List Perfectly software automatically sends them out for me. So that's just kind of the middle where I picked. Constant said, a question about accounting. I'm not a business, just selling random things I need to let go of. Am I okay to simply report the income from my selling?
Yeah, you can do that. I would chat with an accountant because like, if they are just personal items that you're selling, you can like zero it out so that you're not paying taxes on personal sales. Now, if you are actually kind of a reselling business and you're trying to like justify to yourself that you're not a business, you're not actually doing yourself any favors because if you're not a business, you can't claim deductions. And if you are a business, you can. So it's more favorable to be filing your taxes as a business if you're trying to make money doing reselling. But yeah, you can just report the income if you prefer.
I'm not knowledgeable enough to answer those questions.
Yeah, and I think none of us, like, that's our preface with all that, like, about accounting.
That's why we're
yeah. But if you're like starting with stuff like that and think you might continue, like Paul said, like you're going to be better off to count it so you could count deductions. So I would definitely think about that. How to protect from an item not received when the item delivers after you send the refund. Carrier loss claim is, it's gone because it's now found. Buyer keeps the refund and eBay doesn't pay the reseller. Any thoughts on this? I thought I heard, though, didn't somebody tell us not long ago, Sonny, that like eBay was going to start, if it showed up delivered after, eBay said they were going to start reimbursing? I thought I heard that.
I think that was mentioned in the chat probably a month ago or so.
Yeah, I don't. So what are your thoughts on you refund the buyer because it wasn't received and then they get the item and you don't get the money?
Yeah, I'll pass. That stinks.
Mm-hmm.
That would stink. I don't know that I've ever been in that position. I've had people claim item not received, and I've had the tracking and just was able to re-enter that in, but I've never been in a position where I had to refund before they received it. You could always maybe just message the seller through eBay and see if they'd be willing to return the item. Aside from that, I'm really not sure. Sonny, have you experienced that before?
I've had quite a bit of people say they haven't received the item, and I think it just came off of my eBay, or still might be on there. It's the only negative review that I've got in the past few years. But the person claimed they didn't receive this Guitar Hero guitar that I shipped it late. They bought it on, I remember this clearly, they bought it on a Saturday, and it was after hours for me to turn it in that day. If I'm not busy, I go and knock that stuff out right away, especially for a valuable item, right? And even a small one. It just so happens I don't like things being held onto. So I don't drop off on Sundays because I've had items missing from the post office. So I wait until Monday. I've had this a practice of my own since 2018. So this person left a comment saying they didn't receive my item, right? That I was being lazy, not sending it on time. Send it on Monday. They got it. They reported it on Tuesday. So when they got that, eBay for some reason stepped in and say, hey, how do you want to do with this? You could message them. And I'm like, okay, thank you for giving me permission. So I said, item was not I explained what happened, right? When they bought it, when I shipped it off, they're complaining about it Tuesday. I always tell my customers when they message me, like, where's my item? I said, hey, same story I just told you. Give it another 3 days. If it's not there during this time, I'm going to reach out to eBay and I'll give you feedback on what they tell me and update you. Even if I don't get feedback, say it's 3 hours later of contacting eBay, hey, this is what's going on. There's an issue with the customer. It's not so much the issue with the item missing per se, but it's the issue of a customer being upset, because we all know that could go sideways. So the next day, the person receives this Guitar Hero guitar, but eBay let him keep the negative comment up for me. And I thought that was very unfair. So always tell them, give it a few more days. You, like anybody else, all of us here, we don't want to be passed off. We want to be having communication. Even if it doesn't work out, I've had that too, where things don't work out and the customer comes back, it's like, hey, they did their best. They communicated very well. I would still recommend buying from them because they saw the tracking, they saw it moving, and so on and so forth. So it always comes back to your tone and your messages. No all caps, all right? Think of yourself, how would you want to be treated? Treat the customer the same way. And if they're giving you bad lip and threatening you, then you report that at eBay.
All right,
I
pulled it up.
Also, my question is, was it refunded by choice or did eBay make you refund it?
Yeah, so this says if eBay will reimburse you. It says, according to eBay seller protections, if you use an eBay label, the item is delivered after you issued a refund during an active INR claim, eBay will automatically reimburse you, remove any defects, and exclude the case. And if eBay stepped in to resolve it because it wasn't delivered, you have to appeal the case. If you have proof of delivery, then eBay will refund the money. It says when you won't get reimbursed. So if you didn't use an eBay, label, and you have 30 days to reimburse it. So you should be able to appeal that case where they issued them a refund and eBay should give you the money back.
Kat reminded me of what she was reading. What also happens, say the person wants a refund, they're going to request that you see it on your end. eBay wants you to still get that same tracking number that they see and the customer sees and send it to them. So that way you're on the same page.
No, they changed that now. They changed it. You don't have to do it anymore. It pulls it up and you click it. You don't have to copy it anymore. That's like newer. I don't think you have to do it anymore. Good. And I always tell my customers, I'm like, look, if I refund you and that package comes, please refuse it and return to sender because I'm not going to get paid. I tell them, because they're like, it's stealing. Like, send me my thing back. If you got your money back, refuse the package, send it back to me. So I tell them that. I had one that got to keep it. Like, I didn't go after. I don't think it was much money. It was like a couple weeks ago that exact thing happened. I guess I could appeal it, but I don't even remember which one it was at this point. Sandra wants to know, do you need a reseller's license or a seller's permit to sell on eBay and whatnot?
Yeah, no. So, I mean, I don't know the rules for every single state. From what I'm familiar with, the resellers licenses and sellers permits is just about knocking off sales tax from like certain places where you would purchase. It's not like a license to do business as a reseller. Maybe there's a state out there that requires that. I haven't heard of it.
Yeah, I personally do not have a reseller's license, and I sell on both platforms with no issues. But I have read in a forum somewhere that there were a few states that actually required it, but eBay and whatnot themselves do not. And so that would just be between you and your state if somebody wanted to catch you selling on there.
Yeah, the best thing to do is with your local treasure office, I believe, and call them up and say if you could get one. If you're a business, even if you know you're going to do that consistently and it's not every day, but you're going to be listing the items throughout the year, I would get a seller's permit. It goes well with taxes at the end of the year rather than missing out on the expenses and losses. And it does make things a lot easier. It feels like in the beginning, a lot new resellers, I would say, often ask this question like, do you file your taxes? Do you need seller's permit? And no, you don't. In some states, I know here in Nevada, you don't, but we still file taxes. I got a couple of friends that don't have it. They still file their taxes on their end, which is why eBay and all these selling platforms are asking for your social security number, your birthday. They want to know you're a legitimate person and follow through with that at the end of the year, because it's still going to come after you if you're making quite a bit. But even if you're not, I'll still file it, get comfortable. In the very beginning, every time we do our taxes, it's always a high number. You owe this, this, and this in the corner of the window. And the more we start plugging in more information, expenses, fees or ads and things that we're paying for, office space, you name it, like it starts dwindling down. It's like, oh, you actually owe me. This is pretty awesome.
Yeah, so it's definitely state dependent. Like I have a reseller certificate because I don't want to pay taxes on all the stuff that I'm buying. And I buy a ton from online auctions and it's thousands of dollars a month that I'm saving. But what you need to remember is that at least in Florida, when you have that reseller certificate, you're required to make quarterly sales tax reporting. Even though the platforms collect it all for me, I still have to turn in a zero. Otherwise, they'll slap me with a late fee for not turning in a zero reportable sales. And like, I don't have a business license where I'm at. It's not required. Nobody's coming to my house. Like I'm not doing business from it. So I don't have a business license, but I am incorporated and I have my reseller certificate. So it really depends on where you're at with the local government, what they require. I know California is a pain in the butt for all you poor people in California. They want, and like the reseller certificate that's free here, I think is like absolutely expensive in California. Odalali says, what is one item you sold that you secretly regret letting go of? Not because of money, but because it was a piece of history you'll never see again.
Oh man, I would need to go through all of my solds because it's been a little while, but the one thing that sticks out to me, and I'm sorry, this isn't totally answering your question because it wasn't really a piece of history per se, but you could argue that it was. Okay, it was the coolest pair of UGG boots that I've ever seen in my life. It was a rare style that they released, and it had granny squares all over it. I don't know if you guys have seen those. Did you guys see those?
I haven't seen them.
No.
Okay, very, very rare. I sold them for a crap load of money. It was fantastic. But it was just one of those pieces that it could have, well, it was just timeless in my opinion. So it was really, really cool.
I miss a pair of boots I let you sell.
Yeah, I did sell a pair of his boots and they were awesome too. Sorry.
I like it. They were totally impractical because I'm already tall. They made me like another 2 inches taller. They were cowboy boots.
They were pretty timeless though.
But they were cool.
Yeah, they were
really cool.
I can't say that there's anything I secretly regret letting go of. I don't have an issue letting go of things. I'm happy to sell them and make the money. Nor have I really sold anything that I think was a piece of history that I can think of.
Yeah, not history, but it's always this one Laurel Piana jacket. It was cashmere. I got it for $14. It sold for around $600. And when I put it on, I'm 5'8". I'm not like Paul. He's like 7'7". So I put on this jacket and I'm like, holy moly. Like this was made for my body. It even made me look like 10 pounds less and feel like 10 pounds less. And when I listed it, I'm just like, man, this is money, but I got to sell it, right? And the person messaged me saying, hey, like you said, it feels like it was meant for you, you know, like as in for them, like when you wear it, I don't know how to explain it other than this is magical. And the guy ended up like, okay, you know, if anything, I'm gonna return it. I was like, if you return it, I would be more than happy to get it. And I wasn't trying to sell it, but I knew how to sell it. So the person ended up getting it. He said, holy moly. He said the same thing I did. He said, holy moly, how the hell did they do this? Because he was 6 foot something. He put it on. He said, it's to my shoulders, it's to my waist. The length and the arm is perfect. And he's 6 foot something from what he tells me. Again, I'm 5'8". And it was just this magical Laurel Piana cashmere, perfect jacket. And I was just thinking about this the other day, and it gives me chills, like sad chills. Usually it's like happy chills, but it's like, man, if I could get that back, I would not give it away. That's the only thing I ever regret letting go. But it was a nice chunk of change for $14.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything really, because if I really don't want to get rid of it, I don't. But I get rid of pretty much everything. So I don't think I have anything. Cindy says, can we have static listings on Whatnot, or do they want you to do lives? And do the static items on Whatnot sell cheaper than on other platforms?
I've done a couple shows on Whatnot, but that was a few years ago. And at the time you could do statics. I'm not sure if that's changed. So I will pass on next.
I sell on Whatnot, just started at the end of December, and I do both lives and statics. And I put the same pricing that I have on eBay on my statics, and I have had a decent amount of sales doing so. So I don't think you have to sell them cheaper for the static listings.
I haven't done static listings since last year, September.
And mine are like Ashley's. My static listings are priced the same as they are on eBay, and I get quite a bit of sales. I do get offers on Whatnot, and I allow offers on Whatnot. And a lot of times I'll take them because Whatnot's fees are less than eBay. So like on eBay, I'll take 10% off, but Whatnot, I might take 20 because their fees are 10% less than eBay's fees. So I take that into account. But other than that, I leave mine the same price across the board. And on Etsy too, I used to price up on Etsy, and I do not do that anymore. Miss Constance says, I turned auto accept on a few eBay listings. So she's saying like she set the amount like yes, I'll take like over whatever. Will eBay send me offers if it's a lower dollar amount from my set acceptance price?
I'm gonna pass.
Honestly, I don't know. I've never done the auto accept offers anywhere. I don't trust other platforms to put offers out for me.
Before September of last year, I would try to use this where I could accept offers. But I think there was a notification even under if I had, say, a $20 item and I'm willing to accept 15, bottom dollar. I think I still had something toggle to where it would still message me the offer just in case. But as of recently, as a customer, I was trying to, this drives me nuts. Person had a list of jewelry, say for $40. I sent an offer for $35. Boom, immediately hit submit, declined. And I'm like, okay, well, 37, decline. I was like, why do you even have an offer open for a $40 item? You know what I mean? So
yeah,
as a customer, I'm venting right now.
Yeah, I've had that too, where I got like super close to their price and I got so mad I quit sending offers. Like, and honestly, if it hadn't like auto declined, I might have paid full price. But I was same thing, like they're turning it on for the algorithm, but they're really not accepting offers. So that like irritated me. As far as this, I think Sonny's right. I think there's a toggle because I don't know if the auto accept and then like there's also I won't accept less than, which I don't ever fill out. And the reason for that is because I told you guys, like now, if it's newly listed, it's 10%. A year from now, I'll take 60% off. And if I set that auto decline, I'm going to forget. And what I'll take is way below what it would be if I set it now. So I don't set it at all.
Same.
All right. We'll let Paul answer this. How do you figure which method to use, accrual or cash?
That's a good question.
And before you answer, can you, just for anybody who doesn't know, can you tell them what this person is asking exactly? Like what are they referring
I was planning on
okay, good.
planning on
Just want to
starting
make sure. Some people,
the first thing I'll say is that your business overall can be accrual or cash. In like 99.9% of all reselling businesses, it's going to be cash overall. So I believe what Dusty's asking about is inventory treatment. So like in the inventory space, in the reselling space, we all have inventories. And so this is like a huge question for bookkeeping. And it's really easy to get confused with these terms. So if you can remember just one word, it'll help you to remember the difference. The word is timing. The difference between these two methods is the timing of when you record an expense. So if you're using the accrual inventory method, you record an expense when the inventory is sold. If you're using the cash inventory method, you're recording an expense when you buy the inventory. So that's kind of like big picture what the meaning is. And as far as like some of the differences, accrual is a little bit more work to do. It's a little bit more complicated, but it provides more accurate results for like understanding what's going on in your business. Cash is faster and more simple to implement. So those are kind of like the big picture pros and cons. And so it's a little bit of a personal decision. Now, like from a tax implication standpoint, accrual inventory method, because it's more accurate, it's matching up your inventory costs with the revenue you're making from those inventory items. It can potentially reduce the amount that you're paying in taxes. So like if you imagine, in 1 year you buy a whole bunch of inventory, but you don't sell that much. If you write all that inventory off, then, the next year, maybe you sell a bunch, but you're not buying a lot of inventory. You're going to have to pay taxes on all those sales and you won't have the inventory expense to offset it. So those are some points to consider when you're trying to make the decision between the two. I've seen it done both ways by people who are successful. So it's not like, if you do one or the other, you're doomed. It's, it's a decision for your business. And yeah, it's always helpful to chat. If you have an accountant who's familiar with your situation, it's helpful to chat with them. Although I will say, try and find an accountant that's familiar with resellers, because accounts that aren't really familiar with resellers are typically just going to always assume accrual inventory method. And a lot of them aren't even aware that the cash inventory method's legitimate now.
Yeah, and I think you can only change it like once in the life of your business. So whatever you decide, like you can only switch it, at least in Florida. Like I could switch to accrual and back to cash, and then I wouldn't be able to switch again. I'm on cash. But like Paul said, like if I spent a ton last year and didn't sell it, and I do write it all off. I do money in, money out, which is basically what cash is. And then this year I sell a ton and don't buy a ton, then I'm gonna, I might get money back from last year because I spent all that money, but this year I might end up paying a ton more because I sold all the stuff. I am constantly buying and selling those, so that's not an issue for me, but that definitely could happen. Patty asked, is Trish here? Trish is not here. Trish had a family emergency, unfortunately, and had to fly back to Massachusetts. And we have no water, so Trish probably wouldn't want to be here anyways right now because we're like camping and having to walk to my other house to take showers. It's inventory basically, but it has a bathroom. So now would not be a good time for it. We have it where it's trickling. So we're back feeding my house with a hose from the other house so we can flush toilets and brush our teeth. And then we go to the other house and we have a bunch of bottled water. Yeah, it's a hot mess right now. Yeah, hot mess. It's great. And then the guy called me to set up the appointment right before we went live, and I missed his call. I tried to call him back. He didn't answer, and he hasn't called me back. So I'll try and call in the morning. Barbara's asking the USPS cubic foot charge of 21 shipped with FedEx with no crazy fee. I'll just say it's over 21 inches. They just started like an oversized thing where you have one side more than 21 inches, you get charged a fee. FedEx's fees are just on the total. It doesn't matter if like one's really long. That's why a lot of people with golf clubs started using UPS, because their 48 by 8 by 8 boxes were like $15 with UPS and they were like 60 with USPS. So it's just they started that. Well, it's been well over a year. that they started. And there's another one for like over 30 inches or something. So there's a couple of tiers. One of them's 15 and I think the other one's a 21. Terry says, I have a request for a return for a velvet coat that is 3 weeks past the 30-day return window. I'm leaning to decline the return, but fear a bad review. What would you do?
I don't have a ton of experience selling on eBay, only some, so I'm going to pass on this one because I know that these questions are very important about reviews.
If it's 3 weeks past the 30-day return window, as far as I go, unless it is an honest mistake that I have made as a seller, which also should have been caught in the first 30 days, I'm not returning it. I'm not giving them a refund. I apologize. And if they leave a bad review, I mean, as long as you're staying up with all of your other seller metrics, one bad review here or there is not going to tank your business. And if they do, you can reply to that review and give context to that area. And so I don't let a bad review scare the way I handle my business.
The person that wants to be mean and tough is like, decline. And then the other side of me who goes through things is like, things happen in life. I might accept it. But if my gut is saying like, no, like you're not really complaining about anything other than you want to return it, then I'm like, sorry, no. But back to what I said earlier, I would still message eBay about it. Look, this is after the 30 days. This is your policy. It's a seller policy, protection policy on their part. And it should be okay to decline. There's other things that happen on the flip side of our lives. Life happens and we got to hold on to what we can. And if you did everything right and they're after this expiration date, then that's on them.
Yeah,
I
so for me,
had someone, try to return
no, go
last
ahead,
month, something that was past the 30 days. And they even stated they were going to leave me a bad review. And I explained the situation, you know, as it was not my fault or theirs really. And just having that conversation with them in a professional manner led them to make it a neutral review instead of a negative. And so, I mean, a neutral is still not great, you know, but we were able to have a conversation about it. And so, I don't know, sometimes it just helps to be professional and communicate about the situation regardless.
Yeah, I was going to say, and this is going to make me sound mean, but it can be 3 minutes past the 30 days and I'm not taking it. They had 30 days. And it, like, you're a business. So if you did take it back, A, you don't know if it's going to come back in the condition you sent it out in. B, that item could have sold to somebody else that month and a half that they've had it. And this is how I pay my bills. So for me, like, it's hard. Like, I don't want to let emotions come into it. I had somebody that was like at 4 months trying to return. And because she was out of town and this and that. And I'm just like, no, but eBay's policy is 3 months or 30 days. So I would just like, and I love Gemini and Chat GPT. I would ask them to compose a message and say, sorry, eBay policy is 30 days. There's nothing I can do because you can't accept a return. None of this would be through eBay. Like there's no way for you to accept it. You would have to be doing it out of the platform. Because eBay's return window closed at 30 days. Mm-hmm. So, and as far as the bad review, eBay should back you when they're saying, like, if they put like seller wouldn't take it back, you just like refer them to the messages and hopefully they would remove it. Hopefully. If they don't, then, you know, like Ashley said, but using AI to respond has gotten me like some people that I thought were absolutely ridiculous end up happy. Now, if I wrote them, they would be like pissed off as hell. So I like AI to do it because I'm like letting the emotions get into it, but AI will respond professionally and like leave the facts. And the nice thing, like Gemini at least can read the whole conversation. It'll go back and pull up like everything that's been said and it'll reference it, which I like a lot. I've been using that a lot.
Kat, real quick, Tiffany Thrifting Vegas commented on this question. She said eBay will remove a bad review after the return window has passed. So sounds like maybe she has experience with that. So.
Where is Tiffany? Why did I not see Tiffany?
Yeah, I didn't see her either.
Or is she on Facebook maybe?
I'm not sure. I'm in the...
I should have seen it. That's so weird. Tiffany, where are you? We don't see you.
Where are you?
I'm on the YouTube on my phone here.
Carmen San Diego.
Did you see it in that chat?
Oh, she's getting private text messages. She's famous.
We'll do LJ's and then we have a super chat and then I'm going to make Paul big. Paul is going to give you guys a little presentation about reseller deductions. Yay, that I think will help everybody. So LJ said, I found a photo of the Rolling Stones by a famous photographer and auction houses are selling similars for $4,000. Would you sell it through an auction house or would you list it on eBay?
Ooh.
How much are similars selling for on eBay?
Yeah.
Would be my first question.
Yeah.
If I can't find anything, I mean, I know I'm not a reseller, but just like general business intuition tells me, if they're selling in auction houses for $4,000 and you can't find any comps on eBay, I'd sell it in an auction house.
I did one auction house item and it was the biggest thrill of my life. It was amazing. It was so much money and I got way more selling it there than I would have online. But again, that's, this is, I'm not saying that my situation's the same, but that is my one experience with that.
I have never sold through an auction house. I would also look up the comps on eBay. And if it was something like, that Rolling Stone, like you have, if there's none listed on eBay, I wouldn't be scared to list it as an auction on eBay. You may be able to get more money out of the auction house. I have control issues. I like to control my own sales.
I don't like control. I like to live free. I'm a free range reseller. And so my wife does that. One thing Kat said on the panel, like maybe a month and a half ago, because I brought up like I see things so more on Etsy than some things on eBay. And Kat ended up coming in, professional as she is. She said, look, if you're expecting that value, then it needs to be on that on that platform. That's an eBay price compared to eBay price. And that goes along with what Paul said. If you're seeing this value on there, then it's almost promising you're going to get that there. Since they have the audience and it's different platforms. It's not just because people buy stuff. It's different people who like different platforms for their own different reasons.
Yeah. And I mean, for me, I've had like 3 or 4 things that I've sent to auction houses to get appraised. And all of them came back. They said that they wouldn't run them because it was high end auction houses and they wouldn't accept it. Like I had a violin, but there was like one minor difference that made it not worth as much. So I ended up auctioning it on eBay. I think I got like $250, but the ones I saw were selling like $20,000. But I had only paid like $30. So I was fine with it. So for me, I would look it up on there and see if you can find any on eBay. I would use WorthPoint and look it up as well. Cause WorthPoint will tell you, well, it says online platform or whatever it says now. It doesn't say eBay anymore, but you can see if it's sold for that much there. And if not, then put it, you can submit it. But you might, like you're saying similars, you might find like I found where when you send it to the auction house, they're like, no, it's not valued high enough for us to take it. So it wouldn't hurt to send them photos of it to see if they'll take it too, because you might not even have the option to send it to them. And all of them will take photos and will tell you whether they'll take it on consignment or not. And most of them will give you an estimated value too. So I would probably do that first and then decide. All right. Karen sent a super chat and said, thanks to Kat and panel for advice. I lucked into an accountant, had a consultation. They told me they had another reseller and I was decided I would have never known to consider that if not for you. Yeah. And like people that have watched me forever know I've had my accountant almost 4 years and I taught him and it was very frustrating the first year. But now I send him people because he knows it because of me. But we kind of like learned it together the first year because he had a bunch of Amazon sellers and that's a totally different beast from, eBay, Poshmark, Mercari. People that are doing like almost like a retail arbitrage or private label. That's not buying used stuff, to resell. So Mine knows it because I couldn't find one locally that did know it, unfortunately. And he thought he knew it because of his Amazon sellers, but we learned he didn't. And so now I know like Elena Treasure Deed with Thrifts is using him as well. And like I'll send people to him because now I know he knows it, you know, just because he's been doing mine for so long. But so I mean, you can teach somebody, but it's like I was banging my head against the wall for a long time, you know, just trying to like work through it and figure everything out. All right, I'm going to give her, what am I going to give her? I'm going to give you the whale, and then Paul, it has where you can present like from, I think you can present from yours. I'll give her this and then I'll make you big, and I think it'll let you present too though. All right, here's a whale. And now I see Tiffany. All right. So I'm going to make Paul and Faith big. This is about 15 minutes or so. Paul will tell us about like deductions that you guys, so you might not know. And then we will come back to your question. And if you have questions during it, me and Sonny can watch and try and maybe pop them up so Paul sees them. Or do you want us to wait till the end, Paul, to pop up questions?
Yeah, you know, I think if we wait to the end, that'll probably be best.
Okay.
Yeah, just so I.
Okay, we'll do that. Elena, I see your super chat. I'll get you after Paul is done. All right, Paul is taking the stage for the next 15 minutes. Here we go.
All right. Are you able to see my screen?
I wonder if I take you. Wait, let me give it full screen. There. Okay.
All right. Are we good?
Good.
Yes, I think the rest of us are going to mute, so we won't talk over you. So you're
Perfect.
good to
Thanks so much. All right. So welcome, resellers. This is some unnecessary information, so I'll skip forward to what we care about. So we're going to focus in this presentation on the books deductions. And then I also do want to go through a couple monthly best practices that everybody can apply to their business. So even if you know everything I'm talking about on the deductions front, hopefully you can get some value from the presentation. So before I get into deductions, I did want to take a step back and just kind of highlight the big three of reseller bookkeeping. So these are like the three transaction types that every reseller needs to be tracking. Some resellers do need to think about more stuff, but those are in the minority. So the big three are sales and refunds, inventory, and expenses. So we're going to be focusing on expenses today. We'll touch on refunds and inventory a little bit. But if you're like kind of starting fresh and you're like, gosh, I don't really have any framework to think about my bookkeeping, just remember these three: sales and refunds, inventory, expenses. So on the expenses front, or deductions would be another way to describe them. There's two big picture types of deductions. So our focus today is on the books deductions. So these are like expenses that you would record in your bookkeeping system. And then there's off the books deductions. Those are things that you don't put in your bookkeeping system, but they will show up on your tax return. So an example of that would be like a home office deduction. A lot of resellers are good candidates for that. But it's not something you would record in your books. So one of the first questions I want to talk about a little bit is it a business expense? So a lot of folks might be familiar with kind of this framework, which is actually taken from the IRS, which is that business expenses are necessary and ordinary. So necessary means that it's for a business purpose, and ordinary means it's common in your industry. Now, this can help you to like start narrowing down things that are and are not business expenses. Again, this is just a framework, so it's not like there's other things in the tax code that help to guide these sorts of decisions, but it's a helpful starting point. I like to give folks a supplemental framework to aid in the decision-making process. So ask yourself two questions. Number one, is the purchase for a business purpose? If it's for a personal purpose, then it's not a business expense. And number two is, would I be okay with an employee making this purchase and calling it a business expense? The reason I bring that up is because sometimes as business owners, we will kind of self-justify things and try to talk ourselves into, oh, this is totally a business expense, when in reality it's not. So a way to kind of bring your personal interest out of that decision-making process is to ask, okay, if somebody else were to be working for me and they spent my money on whatever the thing is and told me it was a business expense, would I actually agree? So again, these are just frameworks to really mostly help filter out things that are not business expenses. So let's get into the deductions. But before we do that, I do want to talk about one other thing to be aware of, which is that larger expenses frequently have more rules. So think if you're renovating part of your house for the business, if you're purchasing a vehicle for the business, if you're buying or building a warehouse, anytime you're considering one of these larger expenditures, make sure that you talk to an accountant who is familiar with your situation beforehand so they can help you plan and tell you what the tax implications of that decision are going to be. Because it could be that you have the cash laid out for whatever you're making, whatever decision you're making, but then it turns out you're not able to write it all off in 1 year. And so you can just get yourself into trouble with really large purchases when you don't understand the tax implications. But there's a lot of really easy deductions that we can talk about that apply to pretty much every single reseller. So the first one, or the first big picture category I want to talk about, are on-platform deductions. So number one, transaction fees. Pretty much every transaction, every platform has selling fees. Some of them have store subscriptions. Some of them have payment processing fees even. All of these can just kind of be lumped under the category of transaction fees. And they account for a good bit of expense. So make sure you're keeping track of all those things. And then, of course, number two, shipping. Your cost to ship the item is another big expense. Make sure you're keeping track of how much you're spending to ship items, because that can reduce your taxable income. And then number three, refunds. So this technically isn't really an expense. Remember earlier I had it grouped together, sales and refunds. I just wanted to highlight this though, because it's not necessarily intuitive that you should be tracking sales and refunds separately. So, there's kind of like two pitfalls that people will run into. So one is, if they refund a sale, they just, delete the sale from their books. And the second one is if they, get to the end of the year and they aren't doing bookkeeping, they just think, oh, I'll just take the number on my 1099K and, not worry about like anything else. The 1099K is giving you your gross revenue. So if you don't have any bookkeeping records, the sales that were refunded, the revenue from those sales is in that gross revenue number. So you'd be paying taxes on sales that you refunded. So that kind of stinks. And then if you actually are keeping your books, but you're deleting your sales that were refunded, your books are not going to line up with the 1099K. So the point is, it's important to track your refunds in addition to your sales, so you have both sides of the transaction. All right, so let's move to off-platform deductions. So number one, this is huge for everybody, are subscriptions. Most of us are probably running software using software to help us run our business. So whether it's bookkeeping software, cross-posting software, photo editing software, an AI subscription, things that you are using to help you run your business, these are all business deductions. So make sure you're keeping track of them. Supplies, shipping supplies, office supplies, especially on the shipping supplies front, this can stack up for resellers. And then number three, a lot of us will have storage units that we're paying rent for in order to store our inventory. That's a huge expense. So obviously you want to be keeping track of it. Number 4, inventory. So I don't want to get too far into the weeds because this is a larger topic, but this is a very important topic to have a plan for when you're starting off with bookkeeping. The common trend that I see from resellers is, people start their business, they don't even necessarily realize they're starting a business, and then months down the road they do realize it, and there's a lot of panic. So if that's you, it's okay. You're not alone. You're not the only one who didn't think about it. But if you are early on in your business, this is definitely something to be thinking about. If you're later on, it's okay. You'll get through it. A lot of other resellers have. You can too. Now, personal vehicle. So if you're driving a personal vehicle for your business, when you're going to the post office, when you're sourcing, this is another great opportunity to get some deductions for your business. There's kind of 2 routes that you can go, and this is an either or situation, so you want to be careful you're not doing both. So one route is you can track all of your miles, and then the IRS provides a standard per mile deduction. So they provide this rate every single year. Typically it goes up every year, and it's nice and easy to implement. So that's one route. The other route you can go is direct expense deduction. So with that, your direct costs of running the vehicle, whether it's gas, maintenance, like changing tires, that sort of stuff, you can write off a portion of that based on how many miles you drove for the business. In most cases, though, it just makes sense to use the per mile deduction, because that's really, generally speaking, pretty generous. So unless you're driving a super nice car for your sourcing, it'll probably work out better for you to do that. All right, and then internet and phone. So this is a nice perk of being a business owner who's using your internet and your phone, your personal internet and your personal phone for the business. You can claim a percentage of those bills based on how much you're using it for the business. So if 50% of your usage on your phone is for your business, you can write off 50% of the cell phone bill. If 50% of your home internet is for the business, then you see where I'm going with this. And that percentage can go up and down. So if you're super part-time, you're hardly ever listing, then you're not going to claim 50% legitimately. But if that's all you're doing nonstop, then you could go higher than 50 and justify it. And then travel expenses, I wanted to touch on this. So flights and hotels for business. For example, if you're going out of town for a reseller conference, those are all business deductions. And while you're traveling, you can deduct a portion of your meals. So generally, rule of thumb is only overnights. So like if you're, buying a coffee while you're outsourcing, that wouldn't be considered a business expense. There are, the IRS has actually a really great set of guidelines as like for travel and entertainment as to like what would qualify as a business expense. So if you have like more situational questions, I would Google that and reference that document. But those are a couple examples that will help you with narrowing it down. So next, I want to kind of go into starting to answer the question of what should I do with my numbers, because a lot of us know that it's important to know our numbers, and people will tell us, it's important to know your numbers. But when you're starting out, and even if you have been doing it for a while, sometimes it's like, well, no one's ever told me what to do with my numbers. So I want to talk about some simple things that everyone should be implementing every month. I think it'll help not only for your business and understanding your business, but also helping to build a discipline that applies more broadly even than just your accounting numbers. So what we're going to do is look at a profit and loss statement. And if you're not familiar with that, it's a report that shows all your income and all your expenses in one place. So let me exit out of this window and share another one. All right. So I'm going to demonstrate this in my Reseller Genie. Now, what we're going to do, first, I'm going to run a profit and loss statement. So again, this is your all your income and all of your expenses in one place. So the first thing that you want to do is just kind of look at the current month. So of course, I'm not going to have really any data in February 2026. So maybe I'll bump it to February 2025 for this. So you want to look at the current month and just understand the big picture trends. Now, during this step, you might observe that a number seems too high or too low. So if that happens, look into it. So like in Genie, you can click on it and view your detail. If you have like a spreadsheet, you want to go and look at the data that's totaling up to whatever number you're seeing. And just make sure, number one, you didn't miss something. Number two, you didn't double count something. If the numbers seem a little bit off to you. But just going through and doing this first pass will help you to see, okay, what happened over the last month. So that's a really good start. The next thing that you should be doing is comparing it to the prior month. So I'll run a comparison here to January 2025. And you want to, for each line, just go through and see, okay, what changed? So if you have a change of something going up, that's a good thing. If it's your income, if your expenses might be a bad thing. And so you want to bring your operational knowledge to bear when you're looking at these numbers. So the numbers will start to give you the story, but the rest of the story is contained in your head. You know what you were doing in your business. So if you started doing something differently and you're seeing a positive effect, ask yourself the question, what was going differently in this month? Can I replicate it? Can I duplicate it? Or if something is going in the opposite direction of where you want it to go, same questions, but instead of can I replicate it, can I stop it? Can I do better next month? So this is a very applicable thing that you can be doing every single month. Now, what you might be thinking as I'm talking about this is, well, wait a second, Paul, seasonality is a thing, and this doesn't really seem to account for that. And if that's what you're thinking, I'm glad you were thinking it, because the last comparison I would recommend you do is to run your P&L compared to the same month this time last year. And what that's going to do is help you to differentiate and see, like, okay, is there a seasonal trend going on here? So those are just kind of 3 baby steps that every single person can do. It's going to help you to understand your business better, be more in tune with what's going on. It's going to help you to ask the questions about what is going right and what's going wrong more frequently. And really, for a lot of small business owners, not just resellers, a lot of small business owners, if you get into the cycle of just waiting until the end of the year to do your taxes and look at your numbers, it's too late to really make adjustments within your business. So you want to be doing this regularly, at least, not at least, I would say on a monthly basis, so that you can get the most from your numbers. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now and get back into the studio with everyone.
We'll try. Here, hold on. Wait. Okay. I'm like, what button do I push?
All of them.
Figure it out. All right. Hold on. There, the questions flooded in. So I think I'm gonna try and grab the ones that are just for you guys. This one was put in before that. But Cheryl said, I do resell, but my real income is from being an Amazon influencer and other affiliate marketing. Will my Reseller Genie still work with multiple streams of income?
Yeah, 100%. So in my Reseller Genie, we have like the sales tab, which is kind of more focused on inventory-based businesses. But for any other income, you can just create a general ledger account, which is like a tag to categorize what a transaction is. So you can create an income account for your affiliate income and track it real easily that way. You can connect your bank account and credit card. So like if, when those deposits get pulled in, it syncs up and you can reduce your manual data entry. So that'd be no problem.
Perfect. All right, let's see. We got that one. Julie's asking, and just off the top of your head, are there any deductions a live seller can deduct that a static seller is not able to?
Could they have more of their house if they're selling in a room?
I don't know if that would like count for live sellers and not static sellers.
Okay.
I mean,
I feel like most of it, because it's like internet, phone. I do, and I don't know whether this is politically correct or not. I might be throwing myself under the bus. But when I'm doing all my jewelry sales, I do my nails because that's all people see. So I do that, and I don't get them done if I'm not doing live selling. So it is specifically for that purpose. But I can't, I feel like everything I use for live selling, I use for static selling as well.
Yeah, nothing's coming
Julie,
to mind.
tell us if there's something you're thinking of that,
giveaways on what?
Yeah, I mean, maybe giveaways.
Giveaways on whatnot.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Really.
It's a good point. Well, I mean, conceivably, even a static seller could do giveaways if you want to do like some kind of a.
Or you add in free things into the package or whatever.
I did that my first year and realized that I was losing so much money. I'm never doing that again. Oh, anyway.
All right. Teacher Treasure Chest says, Paul, what if you donate a lot of damaged items that are flawed to charity? She's saying, I think they call it shrinkage. Do you know what the rules are with that?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you purchased inventory and it's damaged, then you should write it off. If it's, like part of your inventory balance, then typically the method that I would most commonly see is, recording it as like a $0 sale. So it preserves your inventory balance. But you could also do like a journal entry if you didn't want to go that route. So, yeah, that is.
And
totally
I mean, you wouldn't
legitimate.
have to donate it though necessarily, right? I mean, you don't necessarily have to donate it. Like if you buy something, find out it has a flaw, and then you can't sell it, that's still a write-off whether you donate it or not, right?
Yeah, because it's really just considered damaged at that point if it's not sellable. So yeah.
LJ wants to know. Oh, as a senior over 70, are there more or better deductions?
Might be a question for her.
I'm not aware of any. Yeah, I'm not aware of any.
Really quick, I was just gonna say we're making Sonny yawn, so your presentation did something big. We're gonna have to change the topic, okay?
No, I'm actually intrigued by this because I've been filing my taxes ever since we had a clothing brand out in Hawaii, and they laughed at me when I first went because I made like $200, right? And they're like, "Come back!" Like literally, they laughed at me. The lady behind the counter is like, "Come back when you make 20,000." And I'm like, "That doesn't sound right." And other people are like, "No, you got to do it." Places like Nevada, I think it's semi-annually or something. I forget the app, what it does. I just have it. But you should always file it. There's always something I'm learning every year from actual people who are running it. So that's why I'm not yawning because of this. I'm actually intrigued.
I was just giving you a hard time. I was everybody was falling asleep at home. I was trying to get them to laugh. So no, I'm just giving you a hard time.
I didn't have my coffee today. Been at the hospital all day.
This is a good question. Does eBay factor in your shipping cost and net profit? I've never submitted a shipping expense to my accountant because I thought it was all factored in.
So I guess one of the big questions is, where are you getting your net profit from? One of the challenges in eBay is they've got a lot of reports, and depending on the report you're looking at, it won't add up to another report that you look at. So without more context, I don't know. If you're grabbing a number off the 1099K, it's not including it.
It depends on where you're.
So that's about all
I think the 1099 is all the money you take in. I think they hit you with what you paid for shipping. So if you did that and you're not reporting what you paid for shipping, you're losing a lot. Like if hold on, I'll share my screen. Watch. So if I pull up, is it on there? Yeah. So if I go to performance, and I think it's sales, and like if I go to last year and generate it, when I come down here, my sales were 154,000. But if you go down here, look, my selling costs were 55,000. My shipping labels were $21,000. So if I just took eBay's amount, eBay 1099 me for $154,000. So if we didn't write off and say, hey, we paid $21,000 for shipping labels, I paid $35,000 almost for fees. You guys think I'm kidding when I say I pay thousands of dollars a month in fees. I'm not. Then that's not even counting the boxes, the bubble wrap that is coming here every week. That's not counting like labels. If you're not counting all that, and I mean, I don't know like what scale you're selling on. For me, you're talking like thousands and thousands of dollars that I would be missing if I wasn't doing that. So your 1090, like my 1099 says 155. But over 55,000 of that was fees and shipping. So that could be a lot that you're missing out on.
Yeah,
I didn't know they did this.
Reference.
Go ahead.
My favorite way to pull reports in eBay is to go to the payments tab, and then there's a report section under there, and that's like the report from their ledger. So,
I see it.
That's where I'd recommend going.
My accountant pulls all of my reports. He signs into my eBay and pulls everything. I don't do any of it. All right. Susan, and I didn't know it did this. She said Google tracking. Can you use your Google travel tracking reports for the year to pull mileage numbers? A Google business account on an Android tracks all the places you drive and sends you a monthly report with mileage.
Yeah, I remember the first time I figured out that Google Maps was tracking everywhere I went. I was horrified.
But I did use that one year to track my mileage, and it was
it can be used to support mileage deductions. I use MileIQ. It's like an app that will run in the background, and when you drive somewhere, you can categorize it. So I find that to be really quick and convenient. But yeah, you can use Google tracking. You can use a notebook where you manually write it out on paper. You could put entries into my Reseller Genie. What we tell a lot of our users is like, you use MileIQ for the detail, and then at the end of the month put in a total for your mileage to get that deduction in your P&L.
Yeah. And Genie,
I stopped doing mileage because like I bought a truck just for the business, so I have opted to like deduct my payments and the tires and the oil change, and I decided that mileage. Oh, and I get gas on my business card now too. So I quit, and I don't have to track my mileage anymore. So I went the opposite way. We started out doing mileage until I bought a truck specifically for the business, and then I opted to go the other way. All right, this is a really good question. Cheryl wants to know, what info does Reseller Genie pull in, or is it all manual input?
Yeah,
Excellent
awesome question. So right now, we integrate with banks and credit cards. It's over 13,000 different institutions. So if you have a question about your specific one, shoot our support, message, and we'll look into it and see if it's in the list. And then on the selling platform front, right now we integrate with eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari. And we can sync all of your sales, fees, refunds. And if you're tracking inventory, you can also sync listings in that way.
And then for all, you just said for all other selling platforms, right?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for all other selling platforms, you can input everything manually. You can bulk upload with our uploader, or you can insert them manually. But one of the things that we decided, right as soon as we made My Reseller Genie, is that we had to make our software compatible with all reselling platforms, because so many of us cross post, or we'll sell one thing over here or over there, and it's so there's so many important things about keeping your numbers, but one thing that's vital is making sure that you're tracking all of them, right? If you're even if you only sell a couple things on Facebook Marketplace, or a pair of sneakers to your neighbor across the street, all that is just really, really valuable information for your company. So yeah, you can track everything in our software, and we're always adding more integrations too.
Yeah.
Perfect. I think Julie she asked, but you were saying, for damaged items, it's just a ledger, or you would make an entry in for the loss. But do you value? Would you value it at what you paid, or would you value it at what you could sell it for?
It would be what you paid. So unless the item had gone up, had gone down in value since you purchased it, which in most reselling situations is not going to be a thing, but it would be what you paid, not what you could sell it for.
All right. Okay. I think Carla is the last one, and then I'll grab the super chats and we'll grab the rest of the questions. Carla wants to know, is it true if you write off part of your mortgage for a business expense, do they penalize you when you sell your home?
So you can write off a portion of the interest on your mortgage, not the actual mortgage payment. So there's not a penalty for selling your home if you're claiming a home office deduction on that home. But it is important, because some people think you're just writing off a percentage of the whole mortgage payment. It's just the interest portion of it.
Perfect. All right. Let's see. Elena sent it right before we started. Oh, go ahead.
If I can. Okay. I saw on a YouTube video that someone was writing off their cat as an employee because they were keeping the mice out of their inventory. And they lived inside of the shed that they stored their inventory in.
That's an interesting.
I'm just thinking of mice right now.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Right. I mean,
I wouldn't feel comfortable doing it personally.
That's so interesting, Ashley.
Because the one question is, did you buy the cat for that purpose? Right. It's no, it's your pet. And so, if we go back to the framework, if an employee bought a cat for their pet and then, tried to write it off for your business, would you be cool with that? Probably not.
If it lived in the shed and got the mice, I would be.
But the question is, what's the primary function for it? And it's it's not a,
Is it its full-time job or no?
Yeah, to me that sounds.
How long do we snuggle
and it lived there full time? I don't know. It's pushing the envelope. I was just curious what your thoughts were.
I wouldn't do it. I would get mouse traps and let the cat sleep in the house.
Pest control, I don't know. All right. Elena had to change her name because she can't get into her Google. So Elena is now Treasure Diva Flips. So she has a new name because Google is being a pain in the butt. So Elena, this is so funny that it's Elena and she always gets the cat super chat right now. So here we go. That was kind of ironic. That was funny. That was not planned. But
I always want that one to be a little longer. It's a little short, I think.
Gino, you're short on that one.
So
and Mark is in the house, and Mark always gets Rod. So Mark said good evening. So here's Rod.
Thank you guys for watching. Please make sure you like and subscribe. Until next time.
Now I'm allowed to do it. Let's see. All right. So we did that one. Does anybody know? I don't know. And in the chat too, do you guys know of any good videos for selling on Instagram, or have you seen any, or any content creators that do content on selling on Instagram?
I know lots of Instagram sellers, but not ones who make content about selling on Instagram. Like Haley's Hanger is a big one. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I do not know either.
I know of her name's Liliana. She was one of the vendors across from me at my last vintage big place, and she did hers online. She has a website, but she used Google to have her storefront like be recognized and get reviews and stuff like that. And she did really, really good. She would have people show up before she even showed up. I think when it comes to creating your own business, you have to think about your branding and having people go there. So what you don't see from others may be a big gap and promising potential for yourself. And I know a handful of people. I think Tiffany has her own store on Shopify, and other people who are doing this, but it takes practice. You have to promote yourself. A lot of people, I know Titchy Farms actually she started on Whatnot not too long ago, and I was telling her, put the link in your story. She was like, oh, thank you. I'm still learning stuff. And it's really simple things. You have to know what you're using with these platforms, Instagram, eBay. You have to dedicate some time to really know the in and outs to maximize these things for your best potential. And at first it's going to be very foreign, but once you get the hang of it, it becomes seconds of your time rather than maybe hours that it started with. So I am going to say, have a plan, have a focus. What's the best way to promote yourself? Use stories, use your posts, tell people about yourself, what you're providing and where they can find it. Because a lot of times I share stuff on my end and I say where I find it. I'm not trying to sell it at the same time. I'm trying to be like a passive content creator, whereas like, hey, I know what I'm looking at and what I'm looking for, but I'm also not trying to push sales. But that's something I'm working on right now to where I need to do that. And that's going to end up being on Knickknacks, Whatnot, or eBay.
Yeah, and I mean, I've thought about it. I don't do a ton. I know they have like an actual Instagram shop, but I'm banned on Facebook, and Facebook and Instagram are both owned by Meta. So I don't know that I could have an Instagram shop because I'm banned on Facebook from selling. And I think I tried to set it up once and I never like totally followed through with it. So I don't know if you mean like that. Like I could post stuff. I think I have like 16,000 followers on Instagram, but most of my followers are people who are resellers that are trying to learn. They're not, collectors or buyers. Not that I wouldn't sell anything. I just haven't really done that. And there's only so much time, unfortunately. Like same with TikTok. I know a lot of people that are successful selling on TikTok. I just have my eggs in a lot of baskets already. And yeah, so I don't know of any, but I'm sure there are. I would search YouTube. Like there've got to be people who will help, with how to sell on there, whether it's via posting. And like a lot of posting though is building your following. It's going to be hashtags. Like when Brooke was doing my social media, Courser RA, I think is like $20 a month, and you can take unlimited courses, and they have like a meta course on Facebook and Instagram about social media and social media management. So, cause I was going to send Brooke to school for social media, and, Dale, Flippin' Fiasco, who is one of my good friends, she's a marketer. That's what she does. She's like, do Courser RA. She's like, don't spend thousands on a school, do Courser RA. It is just as good. And especially like Meta is who put out the course. It is the people who made Instagram and Facebook that made the course. And the cool thing is they would have projects for her to do, and they had peer reviews. So people that were taking the course at the same time, you would like make a project and it would go to somebody else that was doing the course. So it was interactive as well. And like you can take, yes, you can write that off on your taxes. You can write super chats off on your taxes. Like, yeah, so look into, like, I would think about courses too. Constance wants to know, is reporting income yearly okay, or do I need to report quarterly?
Yeah, so good question. Just to kind of demystify what quarterly taxes are all about. In your W-2 positions, like if you've had a job where you get a W-2, out of every check, you see like that huge amount of tax that gets taken out, and it's horrible. So quarterly taxes are just like that for self-employed people. So because you don't have an employer who's taking taxes out of your paychecks and giving it to the government, the way the government handles it is saying, okay, every quarter, send us an estimate for how much you're going to owe in taxes. So at the end of the year, you're not paying like tens of thousands of dollars all at once. So
yeah, that's not.
If you're technically, you don't need to file the quarterly taxes if you're okay paying penalties, because if you're not paying like throughout the year, you can get charged some penalties. And some people are totally okay with that. They're just like, I would rather not deal with the hassle.
Is there a percentage that you're aware of like what that penalty would be?
I don't have that information off the top of my head. So yeah, if you want to avoid the penalties, it takes a little bit of time to like learn it once and then just document your process so that the next time you do it, it's really quick. It's not too bad. It's just like a new thing and it's annoying, but it's not too bad.
Yeah, and I'm like, I do mine, and the nice thing is like he does estimated. My accountant does estimated, and he'll do it higher, and then I end up getting a credit because I got slapped and had to pay almost 20 grand a few years ago. That was not fun. You do not want to do that. Not fun at all. Question about using eBay labels. How often do they come back and say you owe more? So if you're printing your labels, or when you did, like, how did you get, like, they'll send you a message if they're going to charge you more or whatever.
Gonna pass.
I've only had this happen like once or twice, but they did send me a message and it came out of the funds that were on my eBay account already. And it was due to, the weight being off when the item was measured. But if you guys are weighing and measuring your boxes and putting in the correct dimensions and weights on your listings, that should not be an issue.
Just happened once with FedEx. They ended up charging me after the person received it, saying that the weight was off, but it wasn't, because I had it done there, and they checked it when they scanned it in. So I was able to appeal it, and it worked out. And this is the one I talked about, I think, when I first joined Kat on here, when I was talking about this FedEx label being overcharged afterwards, and they ended up fixing it. It ended up taking, I think, a month and a half, or about a month afterwards. I went back and talked to them about it, and they're able to help fix it out through eBay.
I've also gotten a refund credit.
Yeah, you can. I got a bunch of like 50-cent refund credit. You can fight it. Like, I had one with FedEx that was like absolute, like, it was like $300 and it was like $100 item, and I fought it and I got my money back. So I will tell you though, about 3.5 years ago, I was getting a lot of them. Not big ones, like $1, but it was a lot. And I bought a new scale and that problem went away. So I would say if you're getting a lot of them, I would consider a new scale, because that was my issue. I had had the same scale forever, and I was getting so many that it was like ridiculous. And the new scale fixed that. I just pulled this up. Susan asked, are there some states that require auction licenses? Yes, there are. And we said it before, just so you guys know, Whatnot, Knickknacks, all of these platforms in the like tiny little print states that it is your responsibility to know if you are required to have a license and to obtain that. They are not going to make you. So will they let you sell without it? Absolutely. Are you legally supposed to? No. So, Georgia, Illinois, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, and Tennessee implicitly say that you do need one. States with exemptions where you do not need one is Texas, Ohio, Virginia, and then states with no state level auctioneer license, Alaska, Arizona, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Idaho, Kansas, Maryland, Michigan, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Oklahoma, Oregon, Utah, and Wyoming. Those you do not need one. If I didn't say it, then I don't know, because I sure didn't read 50 states. But those are the ones that specifically imply it. Florida's wording is kind of iffy. I went to auctioneer school. I have not sat for my state boards. I am eligible to sit for state boards. So if Florida changed the law to implicitly state that I needed it, I have already done the schooling. They took so long to approve me to sit for the state boards that I had forgot it. And at that point, I just haven't done it. So I've paid for all of it. I just have to go sit for state boards and I will legally have my auctioneer license, but I haven't done it. I just spent a ton of money on the school and the state board, but it doesn't expire till 2099, I think it said. So I can go do it whenever I want. Karen's asking me what my accountant didn't know that was specific for reselling. So if you haven't watched me, my accountant does everything. And when I say that, he logs into eBay, he logs into Poshmark, he logs into Etsy, he pulls all of the reports with all of the fees, the shipping, all of that. And he was used to Amazon. And some of the reports are a pain. When he first started is before the platform started collecting sales tax. So we had to go in and find all of the counties in Florida we had sold to and their specific tax rates and how much tax we were supposed to pay for specific counties. So it was very, very frustrating, but that is now no longer a problem. Thank goodness. So it was just that was the main thing, was just logging into the platforms and pulling all of the information that he needed, because I literally do nothing. I do nothing. He does everything. Nice. So it was just, and I pay for it, but yeah, that's what I want. And I've just got so much else going on. I don't. Cheryl said her chickens are chicken. You could listen. I used to raise chickens, and I got to tell you guys something. So I've sold hatching eggs on eBay. For a lot of money, some of them over $100 a dozen. I had rare chicken. So when we went on, or yesterday, we had to make 3 trips to the post office because I sold, over the weekend, I sold 100 pieces of jewelry. I sold 80 ornaments, and then I sold 120 pairs of salt and pepper shakers that we had to pack yesterday. And so we had to make multiple trips to the post office. I went in and there were 6 big boxes that said hatching eggs, no x-ray. And I'm like, man, that brings back memories. So somebody here in my little town is selling and shipping hatching eggs. So that is still a thing. And I made a ton of money, but I don't want to I would rather sell stuff that doesn't eat, than have to feed and clean up. And yeah, but
I remember the first time at the post office and hearing, I was like, no way. There's no way there's chicks. They're like, yeah. And then there was not worms, but like something similar to it with the little legs. I want to say grommets. I don't think that's it. And then crickets. People were selling crickets.
Yeah, I bought crickets. Because Dalton rescued a lizard from an antique show, so I had to buy lizard. I had to buy crickets to feed the lizard.
Oh my goodness.
We sell hatching eggs locally. I don't know that I'm brave enough to try to ship those, and I shipped just about
wasn't
anything.
bad.
Was it difficult?
No, it really wasn't that bad. And I did chicken, I did quail eggs, and I bought like emu hatching eggs. And I hatched 3 emus. And then I realized I don't have a yard for emus, so I sold them when they were like a foot and a half
They're
tall.
little.
But yeah, so listen, I had when like probably 4 years ago. No, not 4. It was before I had Dalton. So oh gosh, he's 7. I'm getting old. Maybe 9 years ago, I had over 200 chickens. Like I had all these rare breeds, and I had breeding pens, and I had 2 sportsman incubators, and I was hatching over 100 chicks a week. Like a whole that was my thing before I got back into reselling, was breeding and raising chickens and quail and turkeys and ducks and goats. And yeah, but now
we have that many chickens. But it's my husband's deal, not mine.
Yeah, I had a lot of chickens. Now I have 6 chickens. 6 chickens. That's all we have.
Oh wow.
Does anybody have any recommendations for ring lights?
I'm gonna pass on that.
Yeah.
Nope. My ring light is just from Amazon.
Do your research on the watts of them. If it's a very low watt and a low price, it's not going to be as bright as you want. You're probably going to want at least 2 of them. But the LED lights is probably what you all also want to look for as well.
I should turn this up. Look, this is what we got. Do you see those? You can get them on Amazon. And so they're just overhead. We don't even use any extra lights except for those like hexagonal ones that are on the roof now, because they put out so much light.
Yeah, take your time with the lights, because you want to see like that. Maybe some people don't have the roof for that. Those are pretty easy to put up too. What Kat has, they just clip on together. Some people use like a double-sided.
Yeah, they're just screwed into the wood.
Yeah, I'm gonna get some. I have a ring light, and I'm surprised it's even on now. Yesterday I had to get up and turn it back on like 5 times while going through jewelry, and I've had this one for probably 3 years now, so it's about due for this to start happening. So take your time, look up the watts, see how big it is. It is good for your space. Is that really how you want it? Really take the time to do your research on lights. Don't just go for the cheapest thing, because you do get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And I totally cut Paul off. You were going to answer that. I realized that he's done more research about lighting than I have, so I'm sorry. Are you going to say something?
Oh, do you know?
So, I mean, it depends a little bit on your application. If this is for product photography, I haven't done research on that front. But if it's for like live selling or filming videos, go to YouTube and look up 3-light setup, because if that's your application, you can get some pretty good looking lighting with a pretty simple setup. So that would be worth investigating.
3-light setup.
All right. Carla wants to know, how much does Reseller Genie cost per month?
That is an excellent question.
Yeah, so it ranges
talk about that.
between $11.99 and $22.99 per month. The plan that has the most automation is the $22.99 per month. It's our most popular one. We also have annual plans where you can save 2 months if you pay for a year up front.
And if you use Kat's code, I'll just say that's going to be the equivalent of 3.5 free months. Like if you stack her code and sign up for the plan. And sign up for the annual plan. So a lot of people have been doing that. We just released that, and people are super excited about that because of all the savings. So
yeah, I think a lot of people I like that with a lot of stuff. Just pay for the whole year and you get a discount. That is nice. Winter Antique says, what's a decent brand for a diamond tester? I think the main one I know, the Presidium is the biggest one. I know there are some cheaper ones, but like the Presidium will identify your other precious stones as well. Yeah. And glass. They run about $200 to $250. I have one. If you're going to be serious about jewelry, I would get one. Diamonds now, though, honestly, aren't worth that much. I hate to say that, but they don't particularly bring up the value of a lot of things. But Yeah, Presidium. Sonny, do you know of any? I mean, that's like the leading one that I know of that's accurate.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that. I think we talked about this too a few months ago. About because we were talking about jewelry.
You get
and
what you pay for.
Yes, you get what you pay for. But I forget who it was. Somebody messaged me in that panel that we had talking about jewelry. I think with Desiree, it might have been on here. But I was saying how I want to really test jewelry and diamonds and metals. And somebody in the chat said like there's the Presidian one. But then they also messaged me on Facebook saying that the stylus on there that touches the pieces oftentimes go bad, and that's like another $80 replacement piece. So
and you have to make sure you calibrate it too.
Yeah, you have to calibrate it. So there is a little learning curve, but you have to be cautious with it so that way you don't ruin a valuable item and then you're out another $80 and then $80 because that'll add up. So it has to make sense. But my goal is to get one of those devices to check pretty much everything for metals and diamonds and so on. The one I was looking at was like 400.
I don't know. I haven't looked at other ones. A lot of mine I don't, especially like for Whatnot. When I'm starting at $3, I'm not overly testing anything. And it's funny because people will write me and they'll say, "You sold me a diamond." I'm like, "Okay, good." Because I know what I have into that stuff. I'm not, but I know I mean it. Like I'm fine with that. I'm okay with that. Like if I'm selling something, I'm fine figuring out whatever it is. All right, this is the last question, and then we'll let everybody say bye. SF Bay Fashionista says, "What is the best way to organize invoices and receipts from items I've sourced from like thrift stores, garage sales, estate sales? So how would you recommend somebody organize them?"
I would digitize them, take pictures of them, organize them in folders. If you don't have a software like my Reseller Genie, but ideally you want something.
Yeah, so I mean, in either case, digital is the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
If you're wanting like a homemade solution, I would do like a Google Drive and then do it monthly so that you can kind of more easily locate them. Or like Faith was saying, you could use my Reseller Genie and attach them directly to transactions in there.
But yeah, definitely digitize. My first year, I think it was my first 2 years of reselling, I put all of them in a big Ziploc gallon-sized bag, and I just kept crunching them smaller and smaller to try to fit them all into one bag, and it was a disaster. But
all right, I'm gonna make
a calendar that I use, and
each calendar.
A calendar on my iPhone.
Oh, I thought you said a calendar.
My
iPad. I thought so too.
The twang.
Got to stream those receipts.
I take a picture if I purchase something at a garage sale. I'll take a picture of it and write the price that I paid for it underneath it, and I'll post it to the day that I bought it. Same if I purchase inventory from a store or something, I'd take a picture of that. But it's posted day by day, and then at the end of the month, I can just tally it all up into one.
Cool.
So I digitize as well.
That's awesome. I like that.
That works. Chad had to interrupt my goodbyes. No, I'm just kidding. Chad sent a $5 super chat. I'll give you Sonny. Let's do Sonny. Here we go. We'll close it out with Sonny, and then we'll let everybody say bye.
I like that one.
That was good.
All right, let me make Paul and Faith big, and then we will let them tell you goodbye, and then Miss Ashley, and then Sonny and I as well. So here is Paul and Faith.
A lot of fun hanging out with you guys tonight. Thanks for having us on, and thanks for all the great questions.
Thank you, Kat, and thank you, Sonny.
Perfect. Here's Miss Ashley.
Hi, guys. Thank you for having me on as well. We had a good time. I'm at Titchy Farm Treasure across all platforms. And over the next couple weeks, I'm selling on Whatnot a bunch of vintage library books from a library buyout. So if anybody's interested, go look me up over there. Y'all have a good night.
Perfect. Sonny, what you got going on?
Follow all three of them on Facebook, Instagram. And I believe Faith and Paul are also on Whatnot. I don't think they're selling anymore, but I think they got an account on there. But follow them.
I didn't even know I made it big.
Oh, I didn't. I was like, Whose forehead is that? Get out the way, forehead. No, but they're great folks. I wanted to ask Ashley questions about Whatnot, about the book show. She just started recently. The last time she was on the panel with Whatnot, and I like seeing that she's very active and consistent and fun, and the way she is on here, just very peaceful and energetic at the same time. I have a show tomorrow on Whatnot for jewelry tomorrow evening. On the 7th, I have a kids' clothing auction, all brand new with tags. I know I'm picking some for my son. There's a lot of sizes, and then a few days after that, I'm going to do one, not sure on the 9th, for adult clothing. And it's going to be men and women's, and it's a lot of spring stuff, a lot of shorts, shirts, T-shirts. You'll see. I'm excited about this. I've never done like an auction like this before, all brand new. I've done mostly vintage. So check us all out. Even Kat's on there all the time too. We're back and forth following each other.
every day.
Yeah.
It is. I tomorrow am doing vintage collectibles, and there are some amazing high dollar pieces. They're all $3 starts. I just got some new Oriental ones in. I have a preview of what's on the display shelf, like amazing avocado green glass owl vase. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff. Can I show y'all
something?
Yeah, show us.
Y'all want to see this, folks?
Is it nesting? Oh, that's a giant nesting.
That's big.
It has all of them in there, down to a little bitty one. I just want to show that off.
Nice.
Sonny, can you throw a link to your Whatnot in there? Karen's asking. So tomorrow, 3:30 is my collectibles. Thursday night is license plates. And then I was going to do the jewelry Thursday because we were supposed to go to Palm Beach, but with my well being out of commission, we have canceled the Palm Beach trip. So I'll do jewelry Friday at 11:30. Same thing. I've got some amazing high dollar pieces. I've gotten some really good stuff lately. And then it looks like I haven't scheduled. It's Super Bowl weekend. You guys got to know. It's Super Bowl weekend. And Whatnot is doing reduced fees, by the way, if you sell on Whatnot. Yes. I don't know if I will. I would rather
watch Mr. Beast. That's all I gotta ask.
Oh yeah, Mr. Beast is coming to Whatnot. Salt and pepper shakers. It is the last sale next week. Let me see what date this is. Or am I? Oh, it's a week from tomorrow. So I'll tell you guys again next week. But it's my last salt and pepper. I've sold all 1,500 pairs. And it will be the last one. So I'm going to lot them up to get rid of them at the end of it. And that means like 3 pairs of salt and peppers for $3. I want them all gone. So there will be a lot of like bulk goodbye because I want them. And tomorrow, what sold? Friday, high dollar, what sold? And I think that's it. Next week. Let's see. Sonny, do you know who's on next week?
I don't remember.
I don't either. I'm looking it up. Mike, Death Pile Picker, is going to be on next week, and our good friend Leroy Blood Sweat Cell will be with us as well. So we will see you guys next week. Thank you guys. Definitely give everybody a follow, and we will see you guys next week. Ashley, Paul, Faith, thank you. Sonny,
thank you. Have a good night.
Bye, guys.